I think we can always agree that it's nice to see the underdog win. And I think at this point, Logan Paul probably doesn't have too many fans left. Today we're going to be talking about George Janko's recent podcast with Andrew Tate, how it's affected Logan, and I want to give some context to this first. So if you guys don't really know what happened between Logan and George, essentially, we'll show you some clips, but essentially what happened was Logan kicked off George because they seemingly had some sort of fight behind the scenes, and a lot of this was spilling over onto the podcast. In this clip here, I'm about to show you where they seemingly can't even get into a bit of a discussion about religion, and tempers start to boil over.
Really, I think you're so giant with your words, you really don't know what you step on when you say things. Like, really, like, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way or trying to pull at you. I think that you have so much going on in your life and you're so, like, power driven that you will mow past your friends and family without knowing.
If I say something, I've said it intentionally.
And that
unless I'm drunk. But can you say something? I'm sure you sound pretty specific in your recollection of your memory right now. Can you give an example of
one that really hurt me is you told me I need a therapist because I believe in Jesus.
No,
that one hurt me.
No, I didn't. I said you need a therapist because Jesus isn't quite doing it for you, which is true.
No, you didn't. I won't stand down. No, you didn't.
You think I said you need a therapist because you believe in Jesus?
I checked you and I said, what did you just say to me? And you said, what did I say? And you stumbled. And you're like, I don't know. What would I say? You fumbled. I'm not backing down from this.
It is common knowledge that you don't interpret reality like reality happens. Mm-hmm. And you heard that incredibly wrong. You think I said you need a therapist because you believe in Jesus?
What do I need a therapist for then?
Jesus isn't doing it for you. And I believe
what do I need a therapist for?
I don't believe you're as emotionally mature as you could be.
Then what do I need Jesus for? I mean, what do I need a therapist for?
To get you to level up.
In what?
Yourself.
In what category? So when you think George needs a therapist, what category am I falling under?
Emotional intelligence.
Me.
Yes.
I'm not emotionally intelligent. Could you...
For Logan to have this take, it's just so wild. Like, he went on this whole trip of, the whole forest thing, and then being public enemy #1 on the internet, and then coming back and trying to reframe himself and rebuild his brand and come off as, start the podcast and come off as this guy that was down to earth and real and authentic. For him to have this take on George, it shows that he's just a narcissistic guy. Like, he just can't see reality for what it is, even when it blows up in his face seemingly all the time. He's unable to learn from it, and he's just like projecting onto George all of his own insecurities.
Could you pick a time and frame any day of our life?
Here's one. 3 weeks ago when you were sitting in that chair, you stormed off this exact podcast because you were upset about something a comedian said.
No, I was upset that I finally discussed...
Listen, I just answered your question. I'm not looking for rationalization about the thing. I just answered your question.
Also,
so
you said in the past that you like it when people storm off. So I asked you, if I get upset and I want to storm off, is it cool? And you said, absolutely.
Georgie, you left, bro.
I'm going to jump in on that one. I'm not sure that that's representative of emotional intelligence. What happens in content is content, bro. It could be entertainment. There's a million things that could happen there.
So should I cite another example?
You can. Yeah, I'm going to jump in occasionally as a guide here,
as a mediator.
Yes.
Also, like, these type of conversations should be behind closed doors.
I think every single person on this planet could really benefit from therapy.
I do agree. And what did I say? I said, yeah, I would love that. And I think it would
be great for you. I really do.
No, I agree, but I don't think saying... Even, okay, hypothetically, say you truly did in your heart feel like I needed a therapist.
Which I do.
Okay, but that was the first time we ever brought it up. Do you feel like bringing my higher power or something that I fall in love with, to use an example for failing me, to use as leverage for me to get a therapist? Do you think that is something a loving human being would say to somebody?
I love you, and I don't think Jesus is evolving you in a way that you could be.
That's fine to say that, yes.
It's coming from a place of love. I want you to be the best person that you could possibly be. If what I've examined and witnessed in your behavior, I don't think the prayer is doing enough. I think actual conversation with a medical professional will help you learn and discover a lot more about yourself that may open up a bit more wavelengths in your brain to become the person that you want to become.
Got you. Now, here's my other question. Did anyone here in this room at all, realistically, know I was going through something?
When?
Mike.
I did.
When the 2 years that I had the hardest years of my life was this past 2 years. Did anybody here know this?
If you didn't tell anyone, how would we know that?
Well, one, I call every one of you guys and check in on you. No one checked in on me. Mike, you checked in on me the first time I called you. Yes, I'm going through things. And I will admit, Mike consistently checked in on me afterwards. The only person that was there wasn't family, wasn't friends, wasn't coworkers. It was my Jesus Christ. And he's the one that...
Not even your girl, Belle?
Belle didn't know.
So, Georgie, are you...
There's some people that can't express,
you
bro.
Like you're asking for a babysitter. You're 29.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying you can't knock something that I gone through and helped save me.
I'm not knocking that.
But you don't know the steps that I took. And there's a lot of people, I believe that the Bible would weigh more than a therapist. And that's my belief. I truly believe that. Because I believe there's a lot more wisdom in the Bible than a human being that's dealing with their own drama could give me pointers on. Do I feel like it's pointless to have a therapist? Absolutely not. That's why
there's probably merit in that. And I think I agree with you. I do. Leaving the Bible up for interpretation, which it is, people are going to read it differently, right?
Yeah.
So while it may be really beneficial for you, way more beneficial than a therapist, it might not be for someone else. That one-on-one conversation with another human, a practice that has been proven to work.
Not for everybody.
Not for everyone.
Same as faith doesn't work for everybody.
Correct.
Everybody's going to find a practice that works best for them.
I know, and I know George, and I know very well.
Yeah.
And I know you could benefit a lot from a therapist.
Okay. And noted. I do feel like, and no disrespect to anybody, I think when it comes to emotional intelligence, I think I'm the smartest one here. When it comes to emotional intelligence, I'm sorry. And I will say this confidently in front of all of you guys.
I'm happily willing to bow out.
I know when it comes to emotions, I'm the first one to notice things and handle things, and I privately handle things. I've had private conversations with many people here I will not mention. I've had private conversations with your family members I will never mention.
Emotional intelligence in what vertical, though? That's my question.
Wait. No. Because what you said, I'm sorry, doesn't fucking matter. This isn't like a dick measuring emotional intelligence contest.
No, bro, you brought it up. But
what's the point of saying that?
The point is you brought it up that I needed it for that, and I feel like that is actually my strongest suit in life.
I'm not saying you're emotionally unintelligent. I'm saying I think you lack in that vertical from where you could be.
Okay.
Makes sense?
It does. But also, here's another thing, bro. Like, we've been going down this rabbit hole together, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I really do, because I do look at you like my brother, and we're gonna bump heads. You're gonna have your beliefs, and I'm gonna have my beliefs. I just wrestle to make sure that there's love involved. I have to, bro, because you gotta understand. Like, I watched it destroy families, and it's not religion just didn't destroy families, bro. It destroys countries. It destroys the world.
That's part of his argument.
Exactly. So, but I'm fighting for everybody. And so I really did get hurt when we're joking around. You're like, yo, yeah, you believe in Christians. And
so Logan continues to shit all over his friend here. I won't play the whole thing. It's a tough watch for sure. But the most wildest thing out of all of this was that Logan obviously watched this and uploaded it thinking that he looked good in all of this. And there was so much backlash after this podcast. So it's just to establish that Logan is a complete piece of shit and treats his friends horribly. So essentially what ended up happening was George left the show. He started his own podcast and, let bygones be bygones. But, of course, Logan couldn't leave that alone. He not only had to look like a jackass in front of the entire internet again for having this big fallout and being unable to maintain basic friendships, he then went on to make fun of him.
I appreciate you guys watching for so long and being so great to us.
That's very cool, Mike. That's very nice of you. Yeah, we don't acknowledge him enough. We love you guys. Seriously, without you, this would be nothing. I didn't know we were doing this right now.
I'm sorry.
I get it. I love this outlet. And it exists because people watch. And without people watching, I just have a show like.
So obviously that was a shot at George there, and he did this a few different times where he would kind of bring it up or laugh about it or joke around. He never openly came out and really talked about what happened or apologized or anything, and you can still tell to this day whenever George talks about Logan that there's still some animosity there. So Logan and Andrew Tate, and essentially just the Tate brothers and the Paul brothers, have never really got along. They've always had this kind of beef, and they've never been together on anything or spoken together about anything. And essentially what it comes down to is Andrew, as he'll explain here, he doesn't respect the Pauls. He doesn't like them. So let's see what he has to say, because this kind of summarizes their beef.
And Jake Paul said, I don't roll with Tate. I'd love to knock his ass out. He said something like that. Yeah. But then he said, but what I do support is, free speech. But then his brother said something else. His brother said, the shit that Andrew Tate says will have a ripple effect much more dangerous than you can imagine, because his narrative is truly hateful. His rhetoric has extreme negative energy in it, and it will affect impressionable young people that won't show for years from now, and it's dangerous. Now, this is what he said,
This
right?
is Logan Paul, you're saying?
But I want to say this before you comment on it. And then Junior supported you, Tucker supported you. I think the guys that like debate and comedians, people who appreciate humor, can understand that some of the stuff you're saying is funny as hell. You could be a comedian if you wanted to, but a person has to really pay attention to the comedy. But, some can run with it, some cannot run with it. Yeah. When you hear the people that support and don't support you, how do you process that?
So first things first, I want to make it very, very clear that Logan Paul is absolutely not really a tool of the Matrix. He's a bought and sold individual with no soul. He doesn't stand up for anything, and he doesn't mean anything he says. He gets pieces of paper from Susan or whoever else telling him what he's allowed to say on his channel to retain it.
You believe that?
100%. Not only do I believe it, he's proved it himself. He will flip-flop on any issue. He can be bought and sold. The dude's a bitch. Logan Paul is a bitch. And I will say that here publicly. If anyone wants, I'll fight him for free. The guy's an idiot.
No money needed to fight Logan Paul.
Logan Paul doesn't believe in any of the things he says. Logan Paul is a man. If you ever were unfortunate enough to consume his content, I get sent clips of it all the time by people mocking him. As soon as something comes out, whether it's Harry Styles wearing a dress, whether it's Lil Nas twerking on the devil, whether it's this, he just sits there and goes, yeah, this is great. Yeah, this is great. He is a talking piece. He is the mouthpiece for the agenda. The people have come along, people who are trying to force a narrative, and they said, look, we need to have some degree of control over the exact demographic that Tate has control over. We're going to use Logan Paul and attempt to use him. And he sits there and just purports the bullshit points of view that the whole Hollywood establishment want him to purport. He doesn't believe in the things he said. He's told what to say. And because he was canceled before and it emotionally destroyed him, he sat on camera crying his eyes out like a little girl instead of being a man about it. He is so fearful of the mob and so scared of being canceled again that he's going to sit there and say anything he's told. He doesn't believe that shit. Before I was canceled, him and his boyfriend Mike did endless videos supporting me, laughing about me, saying how funny I was, tagging me on Instagram, inviting me places, etc. The second I'm canceled, they flip reverse it and shit themselves because they don't want to get canceled too. They are children. That's all they are. So Logan Paul's a bitch. That's the first thing about Logan Paul. And what's actually
So even though I kind of agree with what he's saying there, that Logan just does, essentially what he thinks is going to make him money, I want to be clear that I think both sets of brothers are clowns, and they're both just putting on, internet circus performing acts. I think Jake might be the only decent guy out of the four of them, which is surprising to say. But yeah, I think they all, they all play up their own goofiness, but it seems to blow up on Logan more so than any of the other ones. So I'm not the hugest fan of George. I find him, able to have interesting conversations. Sometimes he has, interesting things to say. But I do love the fact that he was able to break off from Impulsive, and his channel is actually growing now. I think his last few interviews, he's really picked up some steam. And it would be really funny to see if he was able to leave Impulsive and then actually do better on his own. That would be pretty crazy. So I wanted to highlight this tweet saying, should I run it back with Shaq? If you guys saw on Impulsive, I think it was like a year and a half ago, they had Shaq on, and George just didn't really say anything, and he was kind of awkward the whole time, and Shaq was pretty hard on him. So I think that's kind of the full circle for this. If he's able to get Shaq on the podcast and have a great show with him there, I think that's just full circle. Just George came all the way around, and I think his channel will eventually be bigger than Impulsive, because honestly, the show, it's more entertaining than Impulsive. Like, Impulsive kind of sucks now, and it doesn't do as many numbers unless it's talking about, KSI or some sort of, like Lana Rhoades mic thing. That seems to be their bread and butter. But anyways, you guys let me know what you think down below in the comments. Make sure to subscribe to Podcast Pulse for more, and we'll see you in the next one.